Film with family. They love the family, they love the movies. Film with family. Two cousins, Austin and Zach. Film with family.
Hello and welcome to Film with Family. My name is Zach.
And I'm Austin.
And we are two cousins who love to talk about movies. And you may have noticed we have a new theme song that you just heard. And that theme song comes to us from a family member, a Zweifler, Troy Zweifler. And we have him on the podcast today. Welcome to the podcast, Troy.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
What's up, Troy?
Not too much. Just chilling in Fresno.
Yeah, it's good to see you. I don't even know when the last time
Yeah,
I've seen you. It's like been pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
It's been a crazy couple years, man.
It's been fun.
Wild times.
Nothing major has happened, I don't think. But
But yeah, I just want to thank you for the sweet new Film with Family theme song.
It's my pleasure. I hope you don't lose any audience members over it.
it's a beautiful new song. I've had it stuck in my head for the last week. So we've been going back and forth on drafts.
Film with Family.
Film with family. Yeah, I'm
The
thinking.
live take.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking. As we go along, we should have each guest do their
Try to sing along with it.
Yeah, do their take on it, and so each week it just builds on top of each other, and we just have a chorus of the whole family.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Singing Film with Family. So
Yeah.
that's wait, hold on, Zach, you do your take.
Film with Family. We love the family, love the movies.
Great. All right, now I'll do mine. Film with Family. I'm just doing the Film with Family.
That's easier.
Okay.
Yeah. I love to hear Grandma's version of that.
Yeah.
And that actually isn't the only theme song that you threw at us. You also provided a weird version, which I will try to play now. Okay, so here's the Film with Family weird version.
Film with family. Film with family. Film with family. They love their family. They love the movies. Film with family. Film with family. Two cousins, Austin and Zach. Whoa. Film with family. Film with family. Film with family.
Nice. Well, it's a considerable upgrade from our original song, which is a song called "Easy to Entertain" by River Run Dry. We were notified by YouTube that it had a copyright on it, even though I did buy the license for it. I guess YouTube still dings it, so we figured, we got a bunch of musicians in this family, we make our own damn theme song.
Yeah, we should say that Troy is in the band the Plackies with this their family band. I love the Plackies. And I love them and I love the movies.
I love my family and I love the Plackies. Troy, what's your like approach to coming up with a song like that? Do you just kind of wing it? How long did that theme song take you?
Well, at first I was just kind of playing on guitar, just messing around, and then yeah, like I threw on some other instruments. It just kind of built from there. It ended up like, especially with the electric guitar, I think I might have been inspired a bit by like the Space Ghost Coast to Coast theme, which to me is
Oh,
one of the
nice.
greatest theme songs. I'm not gonna claim like my guitar is up on that level, but maybe evoking that a little bit.
Yeah, but it didn't. How long do you think it took you
Oh
to make
right.
the first version of it?
The first like an hour or two. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. You're always very quick to, you're very efficient, and yeah, I'm always
Talented.
This
very
was a very
talented.
fun. This was a fun project, and I was happy to help you guys if I could.
What
Yeah,
instruments do you play? I know you play guitar and piano.
I
What
got
else?
like a dulcimer in my room. It's this like four
Nice.
string thing you play on your lap, and harmonica. In high school, I played like the baritone, just sort of like a little tuba thing. Play some bass, but yeah, guitar and piano are my main ones.
but yeah. We should say that the latest Placky's release was earlier this year, The Beast. So if people want to go check that out on Bandcamp, you can go do that. And we have many albums that span all the way back from 2011, I think.
Or earlier, I think 2009.
Oh, 2009 was Cabin Fever.
I think so.
Can
Yeah,
you
we
list off every Placky's album? I just want to hear all the titles.
Okay, we got Cabin Fever, Fromage Mordant,
yeah.
Coincidente, Mini Horse Parties, Devil
Yeah. Oh,
Dog.
there's also the California sessions.
Okay, yeah, that was just kind of a little solo thing. It's questionable whether that should be
Oh,
considered part of our main oeuvre.
Heath was on there. I really like
That's true.
the tracks on there.
Heath is your brother, our cousin,
Yes.
yet
yeah,
to appear.
we'll get him on the pod soon. Yeah, Devil Dog. Then we had a live album, Down to the Crossroads,
Mhm.
which is when we played in Ypsilanti at the Crossroads, which is doesn't exist anymore.
Oh
Uh,
no. Were we responsible for that?
yeah, probably in some way set off a domino effect.
We didn't help.
There is Waste of Time, which is just a single, but
Oh yeah. Truly a waste of time. Would not recommend.
our worst song.
Great title for it though.
Then there's Back in Plaque.
Oh, back in plaque. Love it.
Yeah. Then we have Live at the Ale House, which is another Ypsilanti live show performance. And then yeah, we had the Nerf or Nothing single, which Austin, you're heavily featured on there.
Great one.
Then Egrets. Um, I'm Not Giving Any Gifts This Christmas is another a Christmas single. In the Dentist Chair, which is a completely teeth focused EP. It's like our first concept album where we try to just do dentist and oral hygiene type songs.
The surprising amount of variety we came up with for all teeth songs,
Yeah.
if I may
Lot to
say.
talk about.
Yeah, there's a song about electric toothbrush, but a song about bleeding when you floss, and orthodontist, the tooth fairy. Um, yeah, having bad breath, going to the dentist. Yeah, covers a lot of stuff. Then there's a Grandma and Grandpa EP.
Beautiful songs. Legit beautiful songs.
Yeah, both of those songs are basically all Troy, and like me and Caleb like just kind of added like some little bonus like stuff on top of it. But yeah, those are two great songs.
Yeah, Troy, I'm sure you were notified, but when our dear departed grandfather passed away, at the funeral, everybody was singing the Grandpa Andy song.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, we had it on a video reel that we created of footage and photos of Grandpa, and it was the first song. And so when the reel would loop back around, it would start with that song. And at some point, people had heard it a few times, and people were just doing the Grandpa Andy, and it was just like some very needed levity to the moment. So
Yeah.
kudos on that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a sappy song. It's a fun song.
He loved it. He heard it, and he loved it.
Yeah, I'm glad he got to hear that one.
Well, way down yonder in Michigan, real blues man that slices bread real thin. That's Grandpa Andy. Grandpa Andy, original Dr. Z. Grandpa Andy. If you slice it too thick, he's gonna be so mad. Get the worst beating that you ever had from Grandpa Andy. Grandpa Andy, original Dr. Z. Grandpa Andy.
He'll give you the worst beating you ever had.
He's like the nicest man on earth.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a
It wouldn't be
falsehood.
funny if it were really true.
But I remember him hearing it and cracking up at that part. It is really funny.
And yeah, that pretty much covers it. The Beast was the most recent one after that. So yeah, check us out. If you like film with family, you'll like the Blackies. You've been playing any video games?
Oh yeah. Actually, this one game I was playing, Deus Ex Human Revolution, super fun. And it's like very much based on RoboCop, actually. Like the story is very similar. You play as this kind of ex-SWAT guy who works for this company that makes like augmentations for people, like cybernetic kind of like eyes and legs and stuff. And so he gets killed in the line of duty almost, and then they like bring him back to life basically with like a cyber heart and legs and stuff. Or yeah, it's very similar to RoboCop. It's a really cool game.
And you're like are you a cop in it, or what are you doing?
You're like security for this company that makes augmentations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have like your memory wiped so you can't remember?
No, so it's not exactly like RoboCop, but it's very similar. And then they kind of mention RoboCop at one point. You like go into the police station and these cops are talking about, have you seen this movie about this cop in Detroit or whatever? So
Yeah.
This RoboCop.
Yeah. The game also takes place in Detroit, so very much inspired by
Nice.
RoboCop.
Yeah, I've heard good things about those games. I haven't tried them myself, but yeah.
Yeah, and we have yet to introduce the film that we're talking about today, which is Paul Verhoeven's 1987 classic, RoboCop.
RoboCop.
Man.
This guy is really good.
Half machine.
RoboCop. What is he?
He's a cyborg, you idiot.
All hero.
What are your prime directives?
Protect the innocent. Let the woman go, or there will be trouble. Uphold the law. You are under arrest.
What is this shit?
RoboCop.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
So Troy, what made you want to pick this movie to talk about on the podcast?
I just love it. I mean, I love like sci-fi and horror and comedy, and I feel it kind of checks all those boxes to varying degrees. Like the horror, there's like so much gore and stuff, which to me I'm into. Like as much of a pacifist as I am, I love seeing that stuff, and especially the campy kind of horror.
Yeah, I was very shocked when I first saw this movie of how intense it is. Like the first time I saw this was just a couple of years ago, and I just kind of assumed this was kind of just like a run-of-the-mill 80s PG-13 kind of action movie.
No.
But this movie's like goes so hard. It is.
Yeah.
It has so much swearing, and the violence is way more over the top than you'd expect. It's awesome.
And I mean, similar. I was slightly surprised for you to choose this movie, but it keeps in line with the California Cousin choice, considering your brother chose Predator, which is a 1987 kind of sci-fi action
Oh, wait,
shoot
they're the
shoot 'em
same
up.
year.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Interesting. Yeah,
I didn't
also a
realize
good
that.
movie.
Yeah.
yeah. So apple doesn't fall too far
I
from the
guess
tree.
not.
Which is why I'm kind of disappointed that your dad is choosing When Harry Met Sally. Seems like
Yeah.
low-hanging fruit. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think of Uncle John as much of a movie guy, but I don't know. I don't know. I never hear him talk about movies really, so maybe that's his thing, is rom-coms. I don't know.
I mean, we'll dig into it. I mean, When Harry Met Sally isn't a bad movie.
I've
Yeah.
never even seen it. He's trying to get me to watch it with him, which I'm not. So
You should. You absolutely should. Film with family.
Yeah. You said you watched RoboCop with him
Yeah.
this most recent time, right?
This is definitely not his usual kind of movie. This is not his usual type of movie at all.
Is he making any comments during the movie that you remember?
Here and there, yeah. You'd have to ask him. But he watched the whole thing
Yeah, he sat through it.
Was he laughing or?
at times, yeah. And then I was laughing. He's like, "Yeah, I see why you like this movie." Like when the guy gets splattered by the car after he gets hit by the toxic waste.
Yeah, Paul McCrane.
Oh my god. Yeah, I was just talking about that part with Drew, Austin's brother, this morning. And he's just like, that part's so disgusting how mutilated that guy gets, and it really is horrifying. Yeah, he's like howling. Yeah, it's like scarier than like a lot of stuff than in most horror movies. And it's just like throwing it into this like dumb action movie. It's insane, but awesome.
But it's also straight up like trauma type, like Toxic Avenger horror. Like where it's like he gets hit with like toxic waste, which is like there are no barrels of toxic waste or trucks of toxic waste. Like I don't know what happens to toxic waste, but it's just like a purely cinematic thing.
You've clearly never been to Detroit. No, I'm just kidding.
There are just barrels of toxic waste, like
all
clearly
over.
marked toxic waste.
Yeah, Detroit is full of it.
But yeah, like that it gets dumped on him and he's immediately a mutant.
Yeah.
His skin is like melting off of his bones.
And then when he gets hit by the car, it's like his whole body has like just turned to soft jelly. It just like
Yeah, it's like a water balloon. It's so good.
Well, we're starting strong. We're opening with our closer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Troy, do you remember the first time you saw this movie?
Honestly, I feel like I watched this as a kid. I used to like this movie. My parents let me watch it, I guess. But this one or one of the sequels, I don't know. But a couple of years ago, I watched it again, and I appreciate it more as an adult, I would say. But I was into it as a kid. I think as a kid, I was more. Maybe I saw RoboCop as just more of a noble kind of hero. And a lot of the stuff went over my head, but I liked it.
He is kind of a noble hero, though.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the argument. Pretty much, he has a kind of violent form of justice, but
shooting people in the dick and stuff.
Yeah, there's a spoof on that scene by some group called like Fatal Farm where they reshoot that scene. If you look it up, it is so funny.
I think I saw that.
It's just like they shoot the one guy in the dick, and then these other guys show up with this other girl, and then he like targets on him, and then like people keep showing up, and he's just like shooting dick after dick.
Yeah, they actually like show like prosthetic penises and stuff getting shot off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like one of the only scenes that Paul Verhoeven like fit into the script. Like everything else was like shot for shot, just the script that was written.
Great choice. Great scene.
Did Paul Verhoeven write this movie too?
No,
Or he
it
didn't?
was written by Edward Neumeier and Michael Miner. The story goes that Edward Neumeier wanted to write a script about a cop who turned into a robot, RoboCop.
Yeah.
Michael Miner kind of came in, but he was struggling with the script, and then he partnered with Michael Miner, who always wanted to do a movie where corporate guys just got blown away or like corporate guys shot each other. So it's a perfect combo.
Yeah, I'd say it's a well-written script. A lot of funny lines in it. It's very silly in a good way.
Yeah.
But then like a lot of the themes it brings up are pretty serious, like with the just the corporate takeover and like busting the like the cops are trying to strike, and that's the whole reason they want to bring in this 24-hour police officer. Like there's some pretty heavy themes in there for as silly as the movie is.
Yeah, it's like the police corporation themes are very relevant today still.
Yeah, there's like kind of a throwaway line that the Bob Morton character says when he's kind of edging in on Cox's like Ronnie Cox is the actor, but like Dick Jones and Ronnie Cox didn't just put that together. But he says something like, we're restructuring the police, and it's that restructuring that's actually getting cops killed, and he's doing it on purpose so that they can make RoboCops.
Yeah, and the Bob character is played by what's his name from Twin Peaks?
Miguel Ferrer.
And he also
the
got
business hugs guy from Timothy.
No, that's Ray Wise.
No, that's Ray Wise. Yeah,
there's two separate
also
Twin
from
Peaks
Twin
actors.
Peaks. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which I always love to see guys from Twin Peaks show up in other stuff. They're both really good in this movie.
But this is pre Twin Peaks. So
yeah, Troy, are you a Twin Peaks fan at all?
Yeah, I haven't finished it. Like I was watching it a couple years ago and I was super into it like for all of the first season, and then like half of the second season I kind of gave up on it, but I liked what I saw. I was really into it.
Yeah, the second half of the second season gets a little weird, and like they kind of solve the Laura Palmer thing like halfway through the second season, so like it kind of feels a little aimless, but there's some really great stuff.
I should go back to it. I really liked it.
Yeah, great show.
And part 3 is worth watching too. And you don't
the return.
The return, yeah, and you don't really need to have a full understanding of the whole Twin Peaks lore, which like you can just go endlessly down that rabbit hole for just the first 2 seasons. You can kind of just jump into the third one and just let it wash over you. It's pretty amazing. I mean, Lynch looks at it as like a 10-hour movie. So
yeah, he directs every single episode of it. So if you like David Lynch, you get a lot of it there. But yeah, back to RoboCop. So Troy, what would you say is like the synopsis of this movie if you had to kind of summarize it for our listeners?
Cop bop. A plot bop with cops.
Okay, yeah. So there's this cop, Alex J. Murphy, I believe. And yeah, he's a cop. He goes into some situation where he's with his partner, Ann Lewis. They go into a warehouse that's filled with these guys that just like robbed a bank or something like that. And then they decide to go in just by themselves with no backup.
Yeah.
Lewis is like taken out pretty quickly by some guy, and then Murphy gets stuck alone and kind of.
Oh yeah, the way Lewis gets taken out is pretty funny.
Yeah, I kind of
because like it's this guy like taking a piss, and like she's like her character like blows bubble gum, and like she like pops her bubble gum and like like you see his pee stream stop. like he's
And he
so
just
surprised. It just cuts off his pee stream and then like
and he just turns towards her and
yeah.
he's just waiting for her to like glance down at his dick.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
she does, and he pushes her off a ledge.
Yeah, he says, "Mind if I zip up?"
Yeah.
And then she just like has like a little glance at his dick and then like takes her out.
Yeah, so then after that, he's sort of ambushed. They like blow off his hand and then they just go crazy and just like shoot him an excessive amount. And he's
Yeah.
shot in the head. And then he gets taken by OCP. And that executive, Bob Morton, he like wants this project where they're going to make this 24-hour cop. The last idea didn't go so well, so then they turn him into RoboCop. Basically, they like sort of wipe his memory or something, but then it comes back in waves later in the movie, and then there's a bunch of scenes of him dealing this kind of violent justice. And then eventually he gets onto the trail of these people that ambushed him and the executives that were kind of behind it, and the rest of the movie is sort of him dealing with that. He ends up killing a bunch of people and dealing justice along the way.
Yeah, as RoboCop. Nice.
It really is a biblical tale of the American Jesus.
Oh yeah, yeah. Paul Verhoeven was obsessed with Jesus, right?
Yes, and when he read the script, well, apparently the first time he read the script, he hated it, threw it away. His wife was like, "What the fuck are you thinking? This movie's great." And he looked at it again, and he was like, "Oh, this is the tale of Jesus. He gets crucified by the gang. He gets like his arm getting blown off is like the nail going through his hand.
Yeah.
He gets brutally crucified, and he's raised from the dead. And even in the end kind of redemption part, he's walking on water.
Interesting. I did not put that together.
I didn't realize that.
He actually tried to put in that religious imagery, and he said that like the American Jesus comes back for fucking retribution.
Yeah.
Just blow people away and get his revenge.
Yeah, that's another fun context to view this movie. He's got a weird fascination with Jesus, and his most recent movie Benedetta has some fun Jesus stuff in there too. Yeah, he's a very interesting guy. He's a Dutch filmmaker, right?
Sure is. Made some incredible films.
Starship Troopers.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Starship Troopers is like with the same writer, this Newmeyer dude or whatever. Another movie I absolutely love.
Yes.
Yeah, like some of the because RoboCop has like a lot of these like news segments and like fake commercials and stuff, which reminded me of Starship Troopers with all like the propaganda and all the kind of world like videos within the world. So it was reminding me of that movie in this movie.
Verhoeven was saying that inspiration of the like commercials, like these crazy commercials that come in like directly after the news guys, like 13 police are shot, and then it's like, I'll buy that for $1, and like it just goes like from one thing to the next. Because he said when he watched the Challenger explode, he was in America and he was watching the news about this horrible tragedy that just happened. And then the commercials cut to like a McDonald's, like, hey, we're eating hamburgers.
Yeah.
And he was like, Americans are sick, and I'm going to show it to them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun juxtaposition of stuff like that in this movie, for sure.
One of my favorite little segments like that is when they show like the peace platform is some kind of laser cannon in space.
Yeah.
And they're like, it accidentally fired a laser into Santa Barbara and caused a fire that killed 113 people.
Yeah, and 2 retired presidents. And they actually have like a little like crappy like CG video of like the laser going off, which just like makes it even sillier and funnier. Yeah, going off like the news segment stuff. Like the news segments are usually like kind of they throw in like an ad along with these like little news segments. So I feel like we might as well give some mention to some of those ads. I remember there's the Nukem one, which is like kind of like Battleship, except about like nuking people or something, like the Battleship board game.
Red alert. Red alert. Red alert.
You crossed my line of death.
You haven't dismantled your MX stockpile.
Pakistan is threatening my border.
That's it, Buster. No more military aid.
Nuke 'em. Get them before they get you. Another quality home game from Butler Brothers.
And then you got like the ad for the car. What's the name of the car again?
Oh, the 6000 SUX or something.
6,000 sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that has like a fun like stop motion dinosaur going through like a city, and then like it just sees the car and like its eyes bug out.
I would guess that T-Rex is Phil Tippett creation as well.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the Phil Tippett of it all, but yeah, they mentioned the 6000 SUX car a couple of times. So yeah, I like those references to. It really flushes out like this type of world that Verhoeven's creating.
You got like the ad for the Cyber Heart or whatever at the beginning.
Yeah.
It all is just sort of ties into this like commodification of everything. It's something that the executives talk about, how they're like entering these areas that are usually non-profit, and they're like trying to make profit out of them, like the police and hospitals and stuff like that. So like that's one of the more like heavy themes this movie kind of touches on.
Yeah, some good commentary on capitalism, or as I like to call it, crapitalism.
Very good.
Dang, I didn't realize you're such an anarchist.
Austin, are you pro-capitalism or what? How do you feel?
Yeah. Gotta make that money, honey.
Yeah, doy.
Get that bag, bro. No. No, I think it's horrible.
Yeah,
agreed.
I think that capitalism in America is fuel for fascism. And fascism in the end is what Verhoeven is really railing against in most of his films, especially Starship Troopers, but certainly in RoboCop as well. Just kind of these ruthless killing machines. And Verhoeven, born in 1938, lived through Nazi-occupied Holland, and saw all this stuff firsthand. And so he's always he's pretty prophetic because he's able to see the early signs of fascism and empire that America kind of boasts about and turns into like a big capitalistic opportunity, really.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
I think I agree with that. That's a good take there. And yeah, it is interesting how like sometimes it takes an outsider, someone not from America, that can like really see it for what it is. And that's like what RoboCop does, like subtly but also not subtly at the same time, because it's like wrapped up in this dumb action movie, but it's actually making some really interesting critiques and commentary. And I don't know, it's really smart, I think, in that way.
One thing I would say is crime is like a huge part of Detroit in this movie, and that's what these like robot cops are supposed to eliminate. But all the criminals are these completely one-dimensional evil characters that it's like it's almost satisfying to see them completely annihilated by whatever different weapons are being used. Like,
that's true.
But, yeah, it doesn't really talk about like the root of crime, and maybe that's, if they did go into that, the movie wouldn't be as fun, which is totally understandable. But
but also Dick Jones is partnered with Clarence Boddicker, and he's actually trying to get his gang to cause more crime so that they have more reason to have these cops and these killing machines on the street.
That's true. And he also he's trying to make an alliance with him where he like offers him the prime spot in this new Delta City they're trying to build. It's just ripe for prostitution and drugs, and he says all this.
Yeah, ultimately, the OCP is trying to build a new Detroit called Delta City that they're going to purposely fill with crime so that they can have these killing machine robots on the street to kill all the criminals that they're creating.
It's a brilliant master plan.
Yeah. And I mean, it is corporate fascism because they're saying we need to build and put these products on the street despite all the carnage that they will create.
Yeah.
There are so few characters to really root for in this movie. It's just like, like the executives are backstabbing and just these horrible, and then the criminals and the police force uses excessive violence and stuff. They try to take down RoboCop at one point. There are a couple that protest. It's like, he's a cop, but then eventually they just totally have this like rain of fire of machine guns on him, and there's so few characters to root for. There's RoboCop and then his partner at the beginning, the Officer Lewis. Yeah. But even she at the beginning of the movie, they take in this criminal. He's like, she's just punching him repeatedly in the face.
Yeah.
And then
like right in the middle of like the office.
Yeah, he's like, pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
just like kicking the shit out of him.
Yeah. None of the characters are what you could exactly call a good guy, but RoboCop, he's just so fun to watch, and he does have some kind of sense of justice, which is more than you could say about most of the other people in the movie.
Yeah, I do want to go back a little bit, kind of closer to the beginning of the movie when they introduce the Ed 209 mech cop, kind of at that board meeting.
Yeah, it's a hilarious scene.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the scenes that stuck with me the first time I saw it. But yeah, Austin mentioned earlier Phil Tippett, who was this great stop motion animator who worked on Star Wars and Jurassic Park, and recently he made the movie Mad God. Have you seen Mad God, Troy?
No, I have not.
It's super good. It's one of my favorite movies that came out last year, but it's a completely all stop motion animated like 80-minute film, and it's like kind of like a depiction of like hell almost. There's just like so many different creatures, interesting demons, and it's like basically a silent film too. There's no dialogue, it's just like all vibes, and it's super good. So that really kind of put Phil Tippett on my radar when that came out, because I really love that movie. Recommend our listeners to check out Mad God.
And he'd spent like 30 years making that movie, right?
Yeah. I think he started in the 90s, and it took him, just came out last year. So cool guy. And he did the stop motion animation for this Ed 209 robot, which I just love the jittery kind of look to stop motion, and having it like combined in like a live action space. I think it looks a little cheesy, but
a little bit.
I love it.
Me too. A great scene is also more towards the end where RoboCop is in the office trying to arrest Dick Jones, and then the ED 209 is chasing after him. And then its one weakness is stairs. It's like almost indestructible killing machine.
Yeah.
They didn't figure out how to make it go down the stairs. Like, how did they even get it up into the top of the I guess they use the elevator.
Yeah. It's like seeing it like confronted with stairs. It's like, what do I do here? And like it like tries to like make a tentative step, and then it just totally eats it. It's so funny. And I feel like its name is like kind of another dick joke. It's like ED, like erectile dysfunction.
Oh, I didn't think of that as a good one.
But could be. It's just a thought ahead. I mean, there's already some dick joke names in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then back to that first scene where it shows up, and it just like they're trying to show a test on it. So one of the people at the board meeting like pretends to hold a gun up, and then ED 209 is telling him to put the weapon down, and he does. and it still like keeps this countdown going, and eventually it just like blasts him like repeatedly, and then someone's like, someone call a goddamn medic or paramedic? This guy is like beyond dead with the amount of
he gets blown away like by like 400 bullets. And apparently like in the director's cut of this, there's like an extra 20 seconds of him just getting blown away.
But yeah, I do love the Ed 209, how it has that deep voice. It's like 15 seconds to comply. And then like it also like growls too, like has like these animal growls that it does.
You now have 15 seconds to comply. You are in direct violation of Penal Code 113 section.
Yeah, just like little decisions like that just make it so funny.
Yeah, and then like RoboCop parks in a wrong spot. He's like, "You have 20 seconds to comply."
Like it's gonna kill him for parking in the wrong spot. It didn't even like strike me how funny that is.
And then when the guy gets blown away in the corporate office, the old man who's like that is his name in the credits. That is Dan O'Hurley's character, the old man who's like the boss. After the guy gets blown away, he's like, "I'm very disappointed."
Yeah. Like they're so chill.
Like he's not horrified by the gruesome murder that just happened in his office.
Yeah, and he talks to Miguel Ferrer, Bob, and like he's like instantly seizing the opportunity. He's like, "Hey, I got RoboCop. Like he wouldn't fuck up like that." And he's like, "Show me a presentation in 20 minutes."
Yeah. You see an opening, funny. You go for it.
Yeah. Every scene in this movie is so good. You could like talk about every scene. It's so good.
No, it just flows right along. Very fun to watch.
Yeah, so it kind of like blacks out, and then all of a sudden we're like in RoboCop vision. And so like we're seeing it from RoboCop's like birth, basically like his vision of birth, where it's like kind of powering up, and it's maybe like the first time he's powered up, and they're like, "Oh, we got to like fix this." And they're like screwing in his head or whatever. And then they're like, "Okay, shut him back down." There's like, boop. And then he comes back up, and there's all the corporate guys looking at him being like, "Oh yeah, he's looking pretty good." And so I think that's just an awesome choice to like the first time we conceive of RoboCop, it's like from his perspective of being created and like what he sees.
Yeah, it really puts the audience like you could imagine yourself if you're in this situation, like if you like still had consciousness and suddenly you're like a robot now, and like the kind of horror of like coming to in that kind of existence. It's a real smart choice.
And when
it's kind of hellish.
When Bob Morton comes up and sees him for the first time, and they're like, "Hey, we managed to save his arm." It's like, get rid of it. He wants all the robo parts and stuff. He's like completely the property of this OCP at this point.
Yeah, they actually like show like the robot arm, and like it like almost crushes his hand. Yeah. And then there's like he like witnesses like a little party or something, like they're having a party right in front of him, and like some girl comes up to him. I don't know. It's a very cool sequence.
Yeah, and then he's like revealed through the kind of the obscured glass when he's walking into the police station, and he just kind of walks into this back room, and all the cops are like, "Oh shit, RoboCop's here. Let's go check it out." You guys see that RoboCop come in? Oh my god.
Yeah, and even before he becomes RoboCop, like there's him there's like from his perspective when he's on the operating table too, kind of, and like you're like getting like little flashes of his memories, like of like with his son and like his wife. And so that was another good choice too.
Yeah, it is like a hellish vision of, being your body and your brain being repurposed for this like corporate kind of tyrannical tool. And the empathy that the movie drags out of you is him still having these memories of being a father and a family member. And that's obviously what family is what drives his revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a surprisingly sad scene when he's taking off his mask towards the end of the movie and he's talking with his partner and he's saying like he's talking about his memory of his family. He says like he can't remember them or he can't feel them or something, and he's just like sitting there forlorn. It's
Yeah, I wrote down the exact line. He says, "I could feel them, but I can't remember them."
yeah, it's like a tragic.
Yeah, there's a really like that's when Lewis is like showing him in the mirror, right? And like trying to make him remember when he takes his mask off, and that makeup is still to this day like incredible. Like that it's like just like the cutout of his face is remarkable makeup.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
But then like there's like he's kind of like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, I am a sad robot.
Yeah, I need to be alone. Yeah.
Why was I programmed to feel pain?
Yeah, and the scene of him like going back to his house and stuff and getting all the different memories of like looking at different rooms in the house and memories he has.
Yeah, and then just kind of adding to how his whole humanity has been stripped from him. When they talk about what kind of food he's eating, they have this like totally disgusting looking paste. It's like looks like baby food or whatever.
Yeah, rudimentary paste they call it. It's just like shit, like it has like shit sound as it's coming out. Yeah. Yeah, another bit that like goes back to like the idea of Murphy's or RoboCop's like humanity. It's like early in the movie before he's RoboCop, you see him practicing spinning his gun, and he's like talking about how he likes to spin his gun because his son like watches this TV show. I forget what it's called.
TJ Laser,
and yeah, and he like spins his gun. He's like, "Dad, can you do that?" And so he's practicing it to like spin his gun like that, so he could have it be a good role model for his son.
Yeah, it looks awesome every time he does that, especially at the end when he like kills Dick Jones and then afterwards he like spins his gun and puts it in the holster.
Yeah,
it's like totally glorifying violence in a way, but then it's done so excessively, it like makes you see how ridiculous it all is.
But I didn't think about it the first time I saw this movie about like how him like flipping the gun just shows that like he is the person he was before he became RoboCop. Like that person is still
he does
with
it,
him.
to like because that's what his son thinks a good cop is.
Yeah,
like
because they probably wouldn't have programmed RoboCop to do that move. That's just like inherent. Like that's just like a muscle memory thing.
Yeah.
So like I thought that's like an interesting way to show like his like former humanity is that he's still doing the gun spin. It made me, because he does it like as soon as he becomes RoboCop too, he does like a little gun spin. And I was like thinking like maybe it would have been more powerful if he only did it at the end of the movie. But that was just like a thought I had. But I really like that little detail in the story.
Yeah. And going back to like the commercialization or like the commercials in this movie, there is like kind of a RoboCop commercial, so it like kind of just adds to the fact that like all these things they've been advertising, like RoboCop is just another product that can be commercialized. And there's like some guy from off camera, I think he's like, "Hey RoboCop, do you have any advice for the kids?" And he's like, "Stay out of trouble."
You better with him in town.
Yeah, seriously.
What's hilarious is there's the scene where he's kind of interrupting this drug deal, and he just goes in and blasts everybody, just like totally kills everyone. And then finally he gets to the main bad guy, Clarence Boddicker, and he's like, "Hey, remember, you're a cop, you have to uphold the law." And he's like, "Oh yeah." So if he spares this one guy, it's like he has to actually be reminded not to kill every single like criminal he sees.
Yeah.
True. And actually, he doesn't blow him away in the end until he gets formally fired. Or Ronnie Cox's character, because he's like,
that's part of his secret directive 4, where he can't harm any member of OCP, which is basically the company
Yeah.
that controls the police force.
Omni Consumer Products.
Yeah, it's like their insurance or whatever against being taken over for their illegal activities.
It is funny to think of them like putting in this directive, like they like know that like at some point he's gonna want to arrest the people that made him.
Yeah.
He's gonna figure it out. So we got to put in this directive. Like we know this is gonna happen. Clarence Boddicker is played by Kurtwood Smith, who you may know from That 70s Show as Red Foreman. But he's really good in this movie. He's like balding and he's got glasses and yeah, he's just kind of like this like nerdy guy that you wouldn't expect to be like the leader of this like gang and like the main villain of the movie, but he's like really awesome in this.
Definitely.
Yeah. Another Verhoeven choice.
Like casting him was
well, the glasses, because he wanted him to look like Goebbels. Like, and he wanted to kind of show that, you know, nerdy looking people can also be very evil.
Yeah, it's a good thing to remind people of. The one bit I really like when he goes to blow off Murphy's hand in that scene earlier in the movie where he's like no 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 no, and he's like really making a meal before he does it. I think that part was really good.
Or when his underling shows up, he just bought a new like 6,000 SUX, like this fancy car right off the parking lot, still with the stickers. And he's like, check this thing out, man. And Clarence
just blows it up.
Yeah, he like pulls out some kind of rocket launcher or something and destroys it. He shows it to like one of his like criminal, minions. Yeah. He shoots it in a building. He's like, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has that other great line. He's like, come on, Sal, the Tigers are playing tonight.
Yeah.
I never miss a game. And he does like a little drum roll before he says tonight.
Yeah, great character.
Yeah, nice Detroit reference. The Tigers.
I'm glad to hear that the Tigers are still playing in 2043. Still baseball in Delta City.
Yeah. Just going through other lines that we like. There's that scene where there's like a guy that's taken hostages, and that's another reference to the car, the 6,000 SUX or whatever, because he's like making his list of demands, like I want a new house, I want a new car, and then like the hostage negotiator is like, what kind of car, and then he gets all of the specific details of it. I thought that bit was funny. And then he also has like some line where he's like, when people jerk me off, I kill them or something like that.
It's just awesome how he gets taken down. RoboCop like sees through the wall with some kind of like thermal vision and punches through the wall and like grabs him by the neck or whatever.
Kool-Aid Man style.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Another parallel to Predator is the RoboCop vision and like the Predator vision. Yeah, very kind of similar kind of graphic interfaces.
I don't think I saw the movie really until, college, maybe like probably my early 20s. And I had the same kind of reaction as you, Zach, where I was like, holy shit, this is a lot more violent and intense than I expected. Because when I was a kid, I loved RoboCop, but just purely based on the look. Like I'd never even seen the movie. I don't think like my parents would allow me to see it, I guess for good reason now that I've seen it, but like, I mean, just the look is so sleek and iconic.
Those pursed
the
lips.
aesthetic of the movie. Yeah, it's got kind of the cyberpunk dystopian vibe going on. Very cool. And just the sleek robo costume and all that.
Yeah, it is funny. Like that one criminal like could recognize that it's Murphy, just like even though he's like all in robot get up, and all he can see is like his lips, and he's like, I remember you.
We killed you.
Well, that's because he says that same line, right? The dead or alive, you're coming with me, or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's what triggers him.
Yeah.
Okay,
also, that jawline is unmistakable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's got great lips, great jaw. Yeah.
Great lips.
Which is actually what got him the part. Verhoeven has said as much. He was like, yeah, Peter Weller was great, but like we needed a skinny guy with a really good jaw.
Yeah.
And he kind of fit the bill. I think they originally wanted Schwarzenegger, but he was like, the suit was too bulky to put him in there.
Did they actually try to put him in there?
No. They were just like, we need a skinny guy because this costume is going to be insanely heavy and bulky.
Yeah.
Which it was. And Peter Weller almost quit because it was so intensive.
Was it like painful to be in it, or is it just like really hot, or like all the above?
Yeah, it was all of the above. And I think that, Peter Weller had trained to like kind of do robotic moves with a mime, and he was like training extensively to like move like a robot, but as soon as he got into the suit, he couldn't do any of that stuff, so he had to like retrain his whole bot, like his whole approach to the physicality of the robot. And and it was like, I think like the first couple weeks that they were putting him in the suit, it took like 11 hours to get him into the suit. And
Jesus.
and he was like, I cannot do this every single day. And they're in Dallas and it's hot and like the suit is hot. So I think he almost freaked out, but apparently, they kind of figured out some, medium. Like there are some scenes where you only see the top half of his body. And so they didn't like do the legs, and he's just pantsless in some of those scenes.
Hey, that's like Zoom calls nowadays with pandemic era, right?
Yeah. You're completely naked from the waist down as we speak.
Gotta be comfortable, man.
Yeah, I was a little sad to see that they filmed this in Dallas and not Detroit. And I guess their reasoning was Detroit's buildings were too boring and they weren't high enough. They just thought it wasn't cinematic enough. It was like rude.
But they do show the skyline in the very first shot, right? That drone shot or the helicopter shot.
Yeah. But
Actually, I'm going to call out my dad right now to tell his RoboCop story.
New segment. Call out. I can't hear it. Are you on speakerphone?
Yeah, I am. Can't hear it.
Oh, now I can hear it.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, you called.
Yeah, so you are live on Film with Family right now.
I am?
You are.
Oh, okay.
We have a new segment called Call Out, and we're calling you out.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm in a parking lot. Okay, go ahead.
So we're on the phone here, me, Zach, and Troy.
Oh, hi, Troy. I've never met you.
Hi, that's fine. I'm doing pretty good.
But so we're doing RoboCop.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I know you have a pretty good story about RoboCop that I was wondering if you could just tell us real quick.
Yeah, okay. So I was doing Measure for Measure by William Shakespeare at the Alley Theater in Houston, Texas. And RoboCop wanted to use the building, the facade of the building. So they gave the Alley Theater a bunch of money so that they could like put like bullet holes and shit in the side of the building.
Yeah.
So, big like bombs had gone off, like holes in the building. So the building that I was doing Measure for Measure in was covered with these bullet holes and shit. And it's a really nice theater. It's one of the best theaters in the country.
Wait, hold on real quick, because the movie was shot in Dallas.
It was shot in Houston.
Well, maybe they shot some of it in Houston.
Because I was there.
Okay, well they shot some of it in Houston, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the lead actor, I forget his name, the guy that was in Naked Lunch.
Peter Weller.
Really cool. Yeah, Peter Weller. He was like hanging around the theater and stuff, and it was like it was really cool to talk to him and stuff. But
oh yeah, so sorry to cut you off. Yeah, the finale of the film was shot in Houston Theater District near the Wertheim Theater Center and Alley Theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I was doing the play there at the time, and
oh wait, that's RoboCop 2.
Yeah.
It was RoboCop 2.
Oh, what?
Okay.
Whatever. So I'm, and as you remember, RoboCop takes place in Detroit.
Yeah.
So I get done with a play one night, and I had come from Detroit to do the play in Houston. And so I finished the play that one night, and I go to the elevator, and the elevator doors open, and it's full of Detroit cops. All these cops with Detroit logos and stuff. And I'm like, where the fuck am I? I was for a second there, I was just like totally confused. Well, all these people were actors dressed in Detroit, costumes for cops. And so that's basically my story about RoboCop.
Wow. And so did you come across Peter Weller?
Yeah, I was hanging out with him in the balcony one day, and the costume that I wore, my ass was like totally exposed, and like I'm sitting in the balcony talking to Peter Weller about doing Shakespeare with my ass exposed. So, and he was like totally cool, he's like, yeah, well, whatever. And I said, sorry, my ass is exposed, but I'd love to talk to you about naked lunch sometime.
Amazing. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
That's
I'm
it.
alive. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Glenn.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day, Dad. Awesome. Successful call out. How about that?
Some really important context for this discussion. Very glad we could fit that in.
For RoboCop 2.
I haven't even seen. I don't even know about the sequel. I've mostly just watched this first one or the remake. I figured it couldn't be as good, but I haven't seen it.
I think I saw the remake before I saw the original, and I thought it sucked. I really did not care for the remake of RoboCop. It doesn't have any of the fun energy as the original. But yeah, I haven't seen any of the sequels.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about doing it, but I was like, oh, I know there's RoboCop 2 and 3, but when I started looking into the sequels, there's like 2, 3, there's a whole series that was put out in the 90s. There's like 20 episodes of a RoboCop series. And then there's also a remake from 2014 that I think Sam Jackson is in. It's like, yeah, there's a lot. I was like, okay, I'm just going to stick to the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that in RoboCop 2, the character reverts back to like putting the mask on because, at the end of RoboCop, like he's got the fully exposed face. And when they ask like, who are you? He says, Murphy, right? Like that's the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like in RoboCop 2, he like kind of reverts and just like all that character development's gone. So that sounds kind of lame. They just like retcon that like the end of original RoboCop.
So there's another connection to another piece of police related material that has a slight connection to this film. So Ronnie Cox, who plays the big corporate villain, and Paul McCrane, who plays the henchman who turns into the toxic Avenger at the end of the movie, are both in a TV show that's very close to my heart called Pop Rock. Have either of you heard of this television show?
Never.
I heard about it because there's a segment about it on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Yes, there was.
Cop Rock, a very real musical cop show that premiered on ABC in 1990 and lasted exactly 11 episodes. Think of it like if Pitch Perfect crashed into the wire and there were absolutely no survivors.
So probably in like 2016, 2017, I was turned on to this program, which was created by Stephen Bosco, who also did like Hill Street Blues, and I think he went on to do NYPD Blue, a lot of those kind of cop procedural dramas of the 90s. And actually, interestingly enough, this was in 1990, right during the time of Twin Peaks. ABC and other networks were kind of taking big swings at experimental TV shows because Twin Peaks was such a hit. So Stephen Bosco decided to make this musical police procedural television show that the first couple episodes had songs by Randy Newman. And, you know, it featured Ronnie Cox. It featured Paul McCrane. So I got kind of obsessed with this show. I became kind of obsessed with it because, you know, we only had a limited amount of material with this stuff that it's seemingly nobody had ever seen. And so my idea was to break apart every single episode, every scene, and try to reconstruct a film, like an hour and a half movie out of the 10 episodes that aired, that I have the DVD of. And so I went through, I broke down every single scene, and I extracted every single song from this. And I started a YouTube page called Cop Rock the Movie, where I uploaded high quality rips of every single song. I even made like a super cut of all the songs in one video. And yeah, I just kind of had it up online for a few years. And, you know, people who had heard about Cop Rock, it was like kind of a resource for them to go back, and it was gaining a little bit of traction. But then, yeah, that John Oliver segment dropped and the page like blew up, and all these people started flooding to the site. And so, yeah, I feel proud of the fact that I got the Cop Rock out there.
Yeah, that's cool that you were there before the wave hit with Cop Rock.
Before it was cool.
Yeah. Before Cop Rock was cool.
Yeah.
Wait, so did he actually make the 90-minute movie cut?
No, it was a very difficult task. And
to actually like have a narrative that made sense.
But I did make a few like mini cuts of like some of the side plots in the movie. So there's like a whole plot about Ronnie Cox's character falling in love with the mayor. And so I like just made like a cut of like that B plot. There's also famously a scene. This is the scene that John Oliver showed. And, you know, partially the reason why I became obsessed with this show is there's a side plot about buying a baby. Like there's like a criminal who's selling babies, and he's called the Baby Merchant. And there's an incredible song called The Baby Merchant, which here, let me just play that. I'm the baby merchant. Tots are us. I give you our service and no damn fuss. Give the baby merchant just a week or two.
Just a week.
How was this show canceled?
This literally feels like a Placky song.
Yeah.
Tots are us, baby.
It's funny. I've actually heard this song. I didn't really make the connection that it was with this show, and it might have been your link that I saw. There's this subreddit I go to, Crappy Music, that had this posted at some point.
Yeah, so if you see any Cop Rock clips out there that have the
what a coincidence
brackets that say high quality, which is a double meaning. Those are my clips. But yeah, let's watch a little bit of this Ronnie Cox song, which is
for the RoboCop connection.
Yeah, RoboCop rock.
night, a cloudless sky, this cowboy sits alone.
This is kind of a beautiful shot.
Oh yeah.
A man like
It's a high quality show, guys. All of the episodes are up on my page as well if you want to watch the whole show.
But that cowboy life is calling me, my friend. I ache to hear the doggies sing again. The code of the West.
It's actually Ronnie Cox singing too.
When justice was a simple chore.
Not a bad voice.
I would listen to this.
Wow. That's pretty sick.
Yeah. Few more cop rock things.
Throw them up.
If you'll indulge me.
I'm
So
into it.
this Paul McCrane scene is really good too. So this is the Toxic Avenger.
Okay.
And he's singing about some unrequited love. He's got a good voice too.
She spun a sticky little web of deceit. Only have myself to blame. She had skin like satin and a heart like stone. She played me sweeter than a saxophone. Just another one of the guys fell for her beautiful life.
That saxophone is just killer.
This is great.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
one of the best songs I've ever heard in my life.
Where has this been all my life?
I know. I'm telling you that like cop rock is just a joyous moment in the history of things committed to tape. And you just have to go down the rabbit hole as deep as possible. And I commit to providing the one-stop shop for all things cop rock the movie YouTube channel.
It's an important service you're providing. I
Thank you.
The
Doing
internet
God's
thanks you.
work. And this is the last thing I will say because it comes back to Ronnie Cox. So the show was, like I said, it was about 10 episodes, and then they just stopped the show in the middle of the plot. Like the whole the season didn't even wrap up. There's a lot of loose ends. And so in the final episode, they just decide to do a fourth wall breaking finale where everybody just comes out and sings a big finale song. But this is Ronnie Cox and his lieutenant or whatever in the show. And this is literally how the show ends. Ronnie's coming into his office. He's got the Cop Rock script in his hand.
I can't believe they canceled us.
Yeah, I know. I only got to sing one song. Excuse me. One.
No, two. You sang that one song here in the office, what do you call it? How to Love a Woman, and the song in the dream sequence where they hang me in my underwear.
Yeah, but that wasn't my song. That was Carl's.
Oh, well, you still got to sing in it. I only got one song the whole time.
Well, you're not really a singer.
What do you mean I'm not really a singer? I started in this business as a singer. This was a great job. My character. I miss the people.
Yeah.
I had a cool job that I loved.
Well, I guess it ain't really over till the fat lady sings.
And then every character floods into his office to sing a big ending number.
You ain't never seen before. fall. But it ain't over till the fat lady sings.
That's Paul. He's got the best voice. I think.
He has a good voice.
And they literally drop a fat lady from the ceiling. And she sings.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this to my attention. I'll check that out.
Subscribe to Cop Rock the movie on YouTube.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, this might be the most derailed Film with Family episode of all time, but I approve. Yeah, should we go around and do our final thoughts on RoboCop?
Sure.
Troy, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. One of my favorites. It just works on so many levels. Like, you can watch it as just kind of a straightforward action movie, and it's great. It has like all these comedic moments. It could almost be seen as a comedy. It's got this great social critique. It's so cool. I love it. One of my favorites.
Yeah, that's well said. I'd agree with that. Yeah, I had such a fun time rewatching this movie. I fell in love with it even more on the rewatch. Made me want to rewatch it many more times. How many times do you think you've seen this movie, Troy?
Not even that many. Like, I've watched it a couple. I don't rewatch movies a lot, but I'm glad I rewatched this. I know I watched it when I was a kid, but only a couple times as an adult.
There was a time in my 20s when literally anytime I would go to my friend's house, like 9 times out of 10, RoboCop was just on the TV. So I think I've absorbed it, through osmosis probably a dozen times.
Yeah, one scene I really liked is there's just like some criminal that holds up a convenience store, and then like one of the ladies at the cash register like does like the silent alarm, and so RoboCop busts in, and the guy's like, "Fuck me," and then he just like he starts unloading on RoboCop, but he just keeps yelling, "Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me." He just keeps repeating it. It's so funny.
He just bends the gun.
Yeah,
just bends the end of it. Just like.
Yeah, I was losing it at that scene. It's so
totally
funny.
Rethinking his life choices when RoboCop walks through the door.
Yeah, he's definitely the most scared of RoboCop of anybody. And this one show has that great ending. Where he's like, "What's your name?" He gives a little smile, Murphy, and then it just cuts to the title, RoboCop. It's just a great fucking needle drop, or like mic drop ending, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a signature of Paul Verhoeven to end these extremely brutal films about fascism on like kind of a happy note. It's like, oh, everything's okay. Which is, in itself kind of a satire about American culture. Yeah, I do think that it's a great commentary about like the dark side of America, which only Paul Verhoeven can do. The violence is intense, but it's like for a very purposeful reason. He wants you to see the viciousness of capitalism in its like most raw form, and he wants you to feel uncomfortable, which I think it's brilliantly done. And yeah, Phil Tippett creatures are incredible.
Yeah, some fun performances by some fun actors that you don't get to see a lot of. It's always great to see Ray Wise, who plays Leland Palmer, as we mentioned. He's looking great in this movie.
And so, in conclusion, the Cop Rock DVD is available on Amazon.
That's the main takeaway here.
Or I also wanted to say,
are you distributing these Cop Rock DVDs?
You can just watch it all on my YouTube channel. It's just all there for free. Anyways.
Well, if you enjoyed listening to that and this podcast, you can subscribe and rate our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on social media at Film with Family. We're on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter.
And if you'd like to send us a take two, or maybe you want to call in on a call out, you can email us at filmwithfamilypodcast@gmail.com.
Me and Austin are also on Letterboxd, and you can see what movies we're watching there. Austin C. Pruett and Zachary Zweifler are our handles there.
We love cop rock.
And we love the movies.
Thank you, Troy.
I had a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. I'll be looking out for your new episodes and listening.
Thanks, man. Great to have you.
Thanks for our new theme song.
My pleasure.
I'm a big fan of it, and I'm excited for everyone else to be a fan of it too.
Yeah, let's play that one out a little extra. At the end here.
Yeah.
Say goodbye to Easy to Entertain. Sorry, folks.
It had a good run.
River run dry.
Yeah. Will this be our 20th episode?
Yes, it is our 20th episode.
Yeah, so if it seems fair that our 20th episode we get an official theme song that's legit.
Yeah.
You know. Easy to Entertain had a good 19 episode run.
Yeah. Is this officially season 2?
I don't know.
Stay
we'll
tuned.
leave that up to you. Is this season 2? Email us at filmwithfamily@gmail.com. All right. Bye.
Thanks, Troy.
Bye. Yeah.
Love y'all.
Later.
Love you too. Bye.
Film with family. Two cousins